I did do a question box for this episode, and I had some questions around that exact thing. People were like, can I only get my protein from protein powder? And somebody asked also, can I only get my protein from protein bars? This is a
Yeah.
judgment-free
Yeah.
zone, but
Well, here's what I would say. You could make that work for you. And this is kind of, there's multiple things true at the same time. If we're just talking about protein, then actually the protein that's in a whey protein powder is going to vastly outperform the protein that's in chicken breast or in steak.
interesting.
Yeah.
Explain that to
Yeah.
us.
So the reason for that is because in steak, if you the way that steak works is that it's wrapped up. Actually, if I eat like a 6-ounce piece of steak, only about 25% of it is protein. 75% of it is minerals, carbs, fats, water, other things, right? And on top of that, it's got a much more complex structure. So when I chew it up and I digest it, again, the benefits of it come from the EAAs, the essential amino acids in that steak. Well, in that steak, less than half are essential amino acids of the protein. So let's say only 25% of it is protein, and then even less than half of that is essential amino acids. So it ends up being like 10% of that total steak is actually essential amino acids, which is the reason why you're trying to eat the protein. When you compare that to a whey protein powder, if you get like a whey protein isolate, it's maybe like 22 grams of total powder, meaning there's like other minerals and a little bit of sugars in it. There's like 20 grams of protein, and about half of that, 45%, is essential amino acids. So it's probably roughly 35 to 40% essential amino acids. So gram for gram, it has like at least three times the potency as that steak of the active component ingredient in protein that stimulates all the protein synthesis.
So, what is the argument for not just relying on a protein powder or an essential amino acid powder? Is it because of the other things in it, the micronutrients, the vitamins, the minerals, those things?
Yeah, so I think there's multiple. So first of all would be the other micronutrients and minerals that are available in a steak, for example. Like there's iron, there's creatine, there's all kinds of great minerals and other micronutrients, tons of different vitamins in it. And if you're only taking a protein powder, well, you're not getting that. And then someone could say, well, I could take a protein powder and a multivitamin and you could end up just like drinking Soylent or like some only drinking shakes all day. And then the question would be like, well, what's wrong with that? Well, I don't know if there's necessarily something wrong with it. You would likely over time lose your jaw function and ability to chew. And there are studies that show that it's really beneficial to actually chew your food, and that the saliva and the ability of the enzymes that are produced to help digest that food. So there's a lot of benefit to eating real food. I think another main thing that maybe gets overlooked as we start to obsess over protein turnover, right? Or what's the best protein, is our whole life. I follow you. I see you you go to Italy last summer on this amazing trip. It's enjoying life, enjoying meals with people, enjoying food. I think, there's a real, if you just don't even like that though, and it's not even a big thing to you, then maybe you're not missing out on that. In general though, I would say so that you don't become this person who's only eating engineered foods, I think using it as a supplement is probably the best balance in health. But again, judgment free. If you're the type of person that's I don't like meats, and I don't really like protein powders, then okay, well then actually maybe the best solution for you is trying to use protein bars, is trying to use protein powders, or even in some cases trying to use just straight essential amino acid supplements. There's a great story. So I'm actually really excited by this. The recent editor-in-chief of Women's Health, Liz Plosser, I think she was there 7 years. She's now works with us. She joined our team in January, and really specifically just to help us. She's just a content master and amazing person, and she was a huge, aminos and protein fan. But she was telling me the story last week of, she's very protein forward, and yet she's a mom of 3 kids. She's 45. She gets home, her husband typically makes dinners, and he made this dinner. It's this super rich, creamy pasta thing with no protein in it. And she either can be
Sounds good.
sounds really good, right? And so it's in the past, she might've been needs to get a can of tuna fish and try to mix it in or eat it on its own and just super offend him. right? Like he's like, and honestly like ruin the meal. Like that's not what it's made to be, right? And instead, she takes like a couple servings of essential amino acids and eats the meal and realizes she actually got, and we haven't explained the benefits of these essential amino acids yet, but like they're basically 3 times the impact as the whey protein. So she takes those and kind of guilt-free just enjoys the pasta dish with her husband. Now, is that the thing she's going to do every single day? No. But it did in that moment allow her to just engage in the food that was really delicious, have a good time with her family, not be like the weirdo that's like, adding tuna fish to this perfect dish, but still hitting good daily protein requirements.
Let's break down the difference between a protein powder, essential amino acids, and then I also want to touch on like a collagen powder as well. I think that those are maybe the 3 that we can go with.
So with a protein powder, I think the first thing I'd start with is like, obviously there's lots of different protein powders. There's all different types of plant-based ones, hemp, pea, rice, lentils, etc.
Is there one that's better than another in the plant-based world? Because I know that causes a lot of confusion.
Yeah. So I think like really what you want to look for in a protein powder is you do want to look for its essential amino acid profile. And that is typically why whey protein has been the gold standard for so long, is because whey protein has such a good essential amino acid profile, meaning 45% is essential amino acids, and then it's really high in certain ones. It's high in leucine, isoleucine, valine, etc. So when you look for that in plant-based protein powders, it's typically hard to find because plants don't naturally occur in that way. So you end up needing to like combine a bunch of different plants. So I would say it's likely that you have to combine different types of plant proteins to get a more ideal profile. The other thing I'd say though, and this is not to scare people, it's just to be real about it, it's that anything that grows in the ground has some amount of heavy metals in it. And when you concentrate things from the ground, they end up with like a lot more heavy metals. So plant-based protein powders tend to be very high in heavy metals.
There was a report that just came out recently, I think, that checked for heavy metals, pesticides, dioxins, I don't remember what else, and it was not good.
I don't remember the exact figure, but I think it's something like over 70% of plant-based proteins basically tested over the limits for these heavy metals.
And this is something you're doing every day, usually.
And you're doing it for your health, which is kind of a weird thing. Not to bum anyone out, but dark chocolate also tends to be pretty high in metals and heavy metals. So, and that's just because, again, you're concentrating this thing from the earth. But what I would say is like having one piece of dark chocolate is one thing. If you're drinking like a scoop of this protein powder that's high in these heavy metals every single day, it's like, ugh. I wouldn't do it. Like, and that's, and then not about my brand, but just naming like, that's why we haven't made a plant-based protein powder at Keon, because it's hard to do it, I think, with integrity around that stuff.
I feel like that's unfortunately something that happens a lot in the wellness world. And you take the consumer who's going to buy these things or use these things. Usually they're things that you're going to do daily, take daily, whether it's a supplement, a protein powder, whatever it is, because you're trying to be health conscious, right? And I just had somebody on, we were talking about supplements and we were talking about fillers in the capsules themselves and how it's just so unregulated and how there are often ingredients that you'd never want to be ingesting on a daily basis, but we largely are not aware of it. And it's like, it's unfortunate, right? That it's like this health conscious person who's obviously, or not obviously, who's likely navigating something. They're trying to get healthier. They're facing a challenge, whatever it is. And then we're like inadvertently doing some kind of harm to ourselves.
Yeah. And I think it's challenging the two to like do the perfect math on like, am I creating more harm or is it better? It's like, I think regardless, like, and that's why I said I didn't want to scare people, like keep trying to pursue like your good, healthy behaviors, right? Like, don't be like, oh, I shouldn't even do this. It's like, keep trying, but also keep trying to be a more knowledgeable consumer and, read more and listen more and try to, learn more. So, all right, getting back to like the protein powder. So whey protein is I think, and particularly whey protein isolate is a great solution for a lot of people. And that the isolate basically makes it to where you remove everything besides the protein. So it's like 99.9% even lactose free. So I'm pretty lactose sensitive and I can totally consume a whey protein isolate. So it's a great solution. And again, it's very high in these EAAs, et cetera. When you compare that though to an essential amino acid supplement, which is actually might be a good then solution for someone who wants to be more plant-based, you can get essential amino acids that are vegan or non-vegan. I would definitely encourage people to go for the vegan. It's a much cleaner process. It's basically fermentation from like beet sugars and cane sugars, and almost like the way that kombucha is created. And from that fermentation, you're able to generate these essential amino acids. So when you compare an essential amino acid supplement, if you formulate it correctly, and so if you're looking for that kind of thing, make sure you're looking, like the formula really matters. Similar to the way the protein powders aren't all the same, essential amino acid supplements aren't all the same. It can be formulated in such a way to where, again, it's only the essential amino acids. There's none of the non-essential. And you can tweak the formula to where you have even more of certain amino acids like leucine, which is this very crucial amino acid that significantly improves protein turnover. It's plays the biggest role in terms of telling your body to break down the old proteins and make new ones, rebuild the skin, rebuild the muscle, etc. And by doing that kind of formula, it again can have a way greater impact than a whey protein powder. How much greater? Quick kind of simple way of thinking about this is whatever decade you're in, divide that by 10, and that's how many times greater it is. So if you're in your 30s, an essential amino acid supplement has about 3 times the impact of a whey protein powder. In your 40s, 4 times, 50s, 5 times, in your 60s, 6 times the impact of a whey protein powder. And that's been demonstrated through studies. Like there's like multiple studies actually that show, for example, like women in their 60s, less, actually it's even greater than a 6 times, like 3 grams of essential amino acids enriched with leucine have the same impact as 20 grams of whey protein powder. So it's like a hyper concentrated protein powder, basically. Again, it's not the thing to replace eating all your regular meals, but if you're trying to supplement, and you're 40 like us, like basically, sorry, you're not 40 yet. 40 like me.
Let me have these last 6 months.
40 like me.
Thank you.
Basically, that one scoop of aminos which has 5 grams of essential amino acids, is equal to a whole 20-gram scoop of protein. And so that's a pretty awesome trade-off. So I think in the shortest way of explaining it, that's the difference. Now, if you try to compare it to collagen is actually quite different. Collagen's it's a cool supplement. It doesn't have all the essential amino acids. So it doesn't function like these other things we've been describing. It doesn't lead to this increase in protein turnover. It doesn't say like, hey, let's rebuild the skin. It doesn't do that. So then why is it associated with skin and hair and nails? Because what it does have is it has these important non-essential amino acids which are proline, hydroxyproline, glycine, that are actually the building blocks to rebuild things like joints, skin, hair, nails. So typically your body would actually make those. It would take essential amino acids and synthesize them into these non-essential amino acids that then would help to rebuild these types of tissues. So what happens if you just like dose yourself with tons of hydroxyproline, proline, and glycine? Because it's more readily available, it does improve the quality of things like skin, hair, nails, joints. What I would say though is it's similar to the creatine piece, where it's kind of like you're getting further downstream. And if you're not telling the body through a high concentration of essential amino acids, which would either come through something like a whey protein powder or more ideally a free-form essential amino acid supplement, then your body's not wanting to do it, right? It needs to get the stimulus first. So what I would say is I would prioritize taking an essential amino acid supplement before I took a collagen. Or if you really like it and you want to take a collagen, take them together. Because what you'll do is you'll get the stimulation. The body's basically told like, hey, let's rebuild the skin, let's rebuild the hair. And then it has this like super big dose of these readily available building blocks specifically for skin, hair, nails. So maybe I saw your eyes like go like, oh my gosh, yeah, like maybe that's like the big skin, hair, nail hack of the day.
Oh my gosh, you heard it here first. Well, as you were talking, I was thinking like, how does the body decide where to allocate this? So whether you're eating protein through your diet or you're supplementing with collagen or you're taking whey protein or you're taking the essential amino acids, how does your body decide where that's allocated?
So there is a certain amount of prioritization, and there's a lot more turnover in certain places than others. Like in the liver, it's like I want to say it's like 40% daily. It's a huge turnover because it's converting all these different things every day through all these proteins, whereas the heart is in like the teens. Muscles only like 1 to 2% a day. So certain parts of your body have to do way more turnover than others. And so that's actually like the unique benefit of supplementing is you're communicating to the body, hey, you're safe to turn over even more of the older, more dysfunctional proteins more quickly than you typically would have because you were like, didn't think you had enough.
So it's not like in a deficit where it's trying to hold on to
And protect.
everything.
Yeah.
Got it.
Which I think that's maybe even like the bigger shift, and that's probably the more valuable shift for more of us. Like historically, again, even protein, right, has had this, I think, resurgence in the last few years and has become more important to women and to other populations other than like gym bros, right? Like that's who it used to be for like in the 90s, right? And so I think the thing that's actually maybe more valuable, more important to all of us, to like the broader audience of people who are thinking about protein and to essential amino acids, is that it's not just for building new muscle, it is for stimulating all the proteins in our body to be rebuilt. When you supply your body with enough, and again, if you can get like enough concentrated essential amino acids at once, you're really communicating to the whole body, all the proteins in your body. And this is thus for hormone health. This is for your neurotransmitters and thus your emotions. It's for your skin, your hair. It's for like all these things throughout your body, not just your muscles.